I'm Claudia Catania, and you're listening to Playing on Air.
Hey, what's up? I'm John Leguizamo, and I don't know about you, but I've never been more grateful for art and for the people who make it. That's why I'm taking a minute to ask for your help. Donations to Playing on Air from listeners like you keep our mics live. And right now, your support can do something really essential. It can keep artists employed. So if you're enjoying our season so far, and if you're in a position to help, please make a donation to Playing on Air to help us and our artists get back to work. Visit playingonair.org/donate to give online. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And on with the show.
You're about to hear Human Resources by Jason Gray Platt. It's the winner of the 2019 James Stevenson Prize for Comedic Short Play. Today's performance is captured on stage in front of a live audience at the Pershing Square Signature Center in New York City. Jade King Carroll, who works extensively off-Broadway and regionally, directs a duo of Playing on Air favorites, Tony winner Julie White, of Broadway's Airline Highway, A Doll's House Part 2, and Tony nominee Stephen Boyer of Broadway's Hand to God and TV's Trial and Error. And now, Human Resources. Celia sits in an office, a sleek digital-era workspace. Jordan enters.
Hey, Jordan.
Good morning.
Come on in. Did Jenny offer you something to drink?
She did.
Coffee, kombucha, elephant milk?
I'm fine, thanks.
Great. Pull up a bean bag.
Okay.
You comfortable?
These always make me feel like I'm drowning in a bowl of cereal.
Yeah, I prefer a bean bag because it lets you decide how you want to sit. Chairs are so oppressive, don't you think?
Oh, yes, definitely.
They try to tell you what's best for your body. Sit like this! But a beanbag is flexible to your needs. It's empowerment furniture. We want to be a company that empowers people.
That's why I've always loved working here.
Is it all right with you if I close the door?
I mean, it's your door.
I prefer to think of it as our door. And usually, I like our doors to be open to each other at all times.
Everyone really appreciates that, Celia.
I'm glad to hear it. But I know certain conversations are more sensitive.
Right.
I just want to make this space as safe for you as I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want you to know, before we go any further, I recognize how difficult this situation can be.
I'd be lying if I said it hasn't been keeping me up at night.
Naturally, there's a real potential for trauma.
We've all been on pins and needles, seeing the layoffs. That's the fucking irony. We're the ones who designed the software so well, it can basically run itself at this point.
Did you think I brought you in to fire you?
Didn't you?
No! Oh my gosh, no!
Oh, I just assumed with all that's been going on.
If anything, it's the opposite.
Wow, okay. Sorry. I just need a minute to, unclench my entire body.
No! I'm sorry I made you feel unsafe.
I've been freaking out since I got your email yesterday.
That's the worst thing about my job. Human Resources calls and everyone immediately thinks they've been fired or accused of sexual harassment. People literally avoid eye contact with me in the halls.
Sexual harassment?
It's just an example. No, today is one of my few chances to deliver good news. What I want to talk to you about is an opportunity.
Well, in that case, I think I will take an elephant milk.
Love it! Jenny, Asian elephant or African?
African.
Of course! Could you get Jordan an African elephant milk? Oh, crap! I can't believe I just said of course. That was a terrible assumption.
No big deal.
You're sure?
Well, why wouldn't I like African more?
Ah, yes, it just tastes matter. That was all I meant.
So, what's the opportunity?
All right, here's the hard truth, Jordan. We as a company, although it's not just us, the tech world as a whole has a problem with diversity. It's worse than a problem. You might go so far as to call it an epidemic. We know this. And here at Diddley, we want to do something about it.
I think that's great.
Travis and Chad have given me the job. Actually, do you know what? It's not a job, it's an honor of making the Diddley community more inclusive, both through new hires as well as, and this is where I'm really focusing my energy, as well as empowering the voices of folks already at the company, folks from communities that are underrepresented in Silicon Valley. Oh, thank you, Jenny.
Thanks, Jen. Not to generalize, but yeah, it's definitely pretty white around here.
It's like a Coldplay concert in Vermont. And I'm starting to gather ideas, a committee on workplace inclusivity, getting folks like yourself on management tracks. What I want to ask you is, are there any specific changes that you would like to see?
Me?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that.
Oh, don't feel like you're speaking for everyone. I just want to know what the ideal environment looks like for you, Jordan.
Okay, but why are you asking me?
Hey, do not minimize yourself. Look at me. You have a voice, and that voice is integral to this company as one of the few persons of color.
But I'm white.
My office is a confidential space. You can speak freely.
I'm white.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Are you not out yet?
Out as what?
Did I just... Oh! I genuinely thought it was public. I'm so sorry.
For what? Out as what?
Please don't be offended. But I happened to overhear you the other day in the cafeteria when you were telling Karen about the DNA test you'd had done.
Genome in a bottle.
You said your results had come back as 8% East African descent.
With like 90% European.
That means a portion of you is black. Is that a joke to you?
No, I wasn't laughing at you. Just said it so seriously.
It's a serious matter.
What is?
Someone's race, especially as a person of color.
Celia, those results don't mean I'm black.
In this country, take it from me, they'll hate you for a lot less than 8%.
I took that test for fun. It isn't even very reliable.
Would you be more comfortable saying mixed race?
Do I look mixed race to you?
I don't judge by appearances. It's possible you've simply been passing for most of your life.
It almost sounds like you'd rather I was black.
That would be ideal, yes.
Excuse me?
As I mentioned, the company is really pushing to get its diversity numbers up. If you were able to embrace that part of your heritage, it would make my job a lot easier.
Okay. Do you not hear how that might sound offensive? You're the head of human resources.
And I'm trying to help you see how much of a resource you are.
But for you, as a white woman, to ask me to pretend that I'm
Whoa,
black...
not what's happening here.
You just said it would be ideal.
I don't identify as white.
But you are white.
Okay, wow. That is not your call to make.
You dress up as Wes Anderson movies for Halloween.
I consider myself ethnic queer.
That's not a thing! That's not a thing! Is it?
For your information, and I say this out of solidarity, not because I think it's anyone's business, but my background is East Asian.
What part of your background?
My grandfather was from India.
I thought you were British.
British Indian.
Was your grandfather the British part or the Indian part?
They were the same thing.
They definitely aren't anymore.
When he was born, they were.
Not according to a lot of people who live there.
Coming to terms with who I am has been a long journey for me, all right? I won't change myself to satisfy a bunch of haters.
Why haven't you ever talked about this before?
It's hard enough being a woman in the tech space. Do you have any idea what it's like for a woman of color? I wasn't going to shout it from the rooftops.
That makes sense. Wait, no!
Listen, Jordan, you just got the DNA test results back, right?
A few days ago.
I'm sure all of this is a shock. You spend your entire life believing you're one person, then all of a sudden you find out you're someone entirely different. That takes time to process, especially when you've probably internalized a lot of unconscious bias against the very person you turn out to be.
It isn't a shock. I'm not black.
Who are you really trying to convince here? Me or you?
You, obviously.
I don't like to say this, but I doubt you would speak so condescendingly if I was white.
You are... I didn't mean to be condescending. It's not my place to judge how you relate to your family. But as far as I'm concerned, finding out that I had some great whoever who used to kick it in Ethiopia doesn't give me the right to claim discrimination.
Do you like hot sauce, Jordan?
Oh my God. If you want to increase the diversity of the company, just hire more diverse employees.
We want to do that too. And we will. I'd love to have more of my sisters and brothers on the front line with me. But it's a question of efficiency.
How so?
Hiring new people means retraining, which means more time and more money.
Anything worth doing is going to take time and money.
Try to appreciate the position that I'm in. Travis and Chad like to move fast. They want results. It's far more efficient to identify employees already here.
Are you saying inefficiency is a bigger problem than injustice?
No! I'm saying, in our world, inefficiency is the greatest injustice.
I respectfully disagree. If the company really wants to do something about diversity, and after having this conversation, I really think we should, it has to be willing to make a few sacrifices for that to happen.
It's easy to say sacrifices are necessary when you aren't the one making them.
I'll do more than say it. I'm happy to voluntarily train any new hires after hours.
Would you really do that?
Absolutely. I'm willing to do my part.
Well, that does ease my mind. Because when you came into my office, you seemed pretty nervous about the prospect.
I thought you were letting me go.
Exactly.
But you're not.
I wasn't planning to.
Hold on. What's happening?
You said you were willing to do your part.
To help, not that I would train someone for my own job.
We have to make room for new hires somehow. The company's already in the midst of downsizing.
You're going to fire me unless I fake being black?
It's not fake. You have data to back it up.
That's illegal. You can't let someone go just because they're white.
We wouldn't be since you're not white. My concern is that you're also not a team player.
This is outrageous. I'm not going to do that.
We're not really asking you to do anything.
You want me to lie?
The only thing we want is for you to be yourself. And to sign a demographic statement identifying yourself as black.
No, I couldn't.
Jordan, do you like working at Diddley?
Of course.
Do you like this community?
I love it. I've been here almost 5 years.
Think about them! The company really needs to get its numbers up. The better our numbers are, the more attractive we look to everyone, including investors. And the more investors we bring in, the more people we can hire, the better our numbers get. It's a feedback loop. You just need to set it in motion.
But the numbers won't be real.
Data doesn't lie. Your co-workers need you to be their ally right now.
I am. Or I thought I was.
When I asked Travis about you, do you know what he said?
Travis talked about me?
He didn't talk about you. He raved about you. He said, "That man is a creative thinker. A disruptive thinker. We need people like him in management."
Management?
That's right.
So he wants me to stay.
He wants people with new ideas who are willing to try something different, even if most people would think it's crazy. Because most people think it's crazy. Are you that person?
When it comes to technology?
Ideas are the most powerful form of technology.
That's true.
What we've been given here is the chance to disrupt the entire infrastructure of race.
Sort of like we can build something better.
We can build a utopia! My only goal is to empower you to create it.
You're right.
Does that mean you'll stay with us?
I have to. This is why we all got into this business, isn't it? To make the world a better place.
Exactly. You've come to terms with your heritage then.
I will. It might take time, but you're right. I was too afraid of the criticism to see the possibilities.
This makes me so happy for you, Jordan.
Thank you. This is really freeing.
See? You feel better already.
I do. I feel like I have power now.
There's nothing more powerful than loving who you are. If you could just fill out this demographic questionnaire.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. I've never actually been excited to fill out one of these before.
Thank you for having the courage to stand up like this. I did have one last question. You wear eyeglasses.
Uh-huh.
Would you consider yourself disabled?
You just heard Human Resources by Jason Gray Platt, the winner of this year's James Stevenson Prize. It was directed by Jade King Carroll and starred Stephen Boyer as Jordan and Julie White as Celia. It's great to have you. Jason Gray Platt, what was the germ of this play, and why did you specifically choose to submit it to the Stevenson competition?
Well, I wanted to play with the constraints of the form and the fact that you can't actually see what it is that's being talked about. And then there was an article in the Times at some point this summer about a National Theatre of Hungary production where they were doing Porgy and Bess, but they decided it was too difficult to get actors of color.
In Hungary.
In Hungary. So they cast it with all white people. And the Gershwin estate, to their credit, has guidelines in the licensing agreement about the fact that certain characters have to be played by actors of color. And so they said, well, we're going to pull the license if you don't change the casting. And so the director had all of the performers sign demographic statements identifying themselves as black.
Whoa. And just, what's the deal with elephant milk?
It's really, I mean, just from a craft point of view, it's like you have to establish, especially when you're writing about something like this, the absurdity as early as possible. And so I was trying to layer in with that and with the beanbag chair, just to like, okay, we're going on a ridiculous journey here, just to sort of open up some of it. Yeah.
Right. Oppressive chairs, empowerment furniture.
Exactly.
So, do you like satire in particular as a form?
I think I would go more with the absurd. And I think that's something that, in particular, like Stevenson's work spoke to me about. And I think sometimes there's a misunderstanding that absurdity is a form of comedy, but I would say that actually comedy is one modality of the absurd. And so you get into very difficult places when you're talking about, oh, is this a comedy about race relations, about these incredibly nuanced and complex things? But I say it's not necessarily a comedy, it's the absurd, right? And the absurd begins whenever you give significance to something that is inherently insignificant.
Well put. Julie White and Stephen Boyer, you both have incredible range, but you're noted for comic virtuosity. Can you give us an example of a comic moment in this play, or any, that challenged you or that you instinctively knew how to capture?
This was fun. I mean, when we do this kind of a thing, we don't have ages and ages with the material, and we have very little rehearsal. We got to read through it 3 or 4 times and make some choices, and then come out here and do it for y'all.
Yeah, I feel like with something like this especially, I mean, I don't know if this is an answer to your question specifically, but I feel like in regards to this play, we only could run through it a few times, and so it comes down to getting the comedy of it. It's playing off the audience. It's like the audience is going to tell you what works and what doesn't, and if you're going down the right road or not, no matter what play you're doing. So in a way, if you can key into what the audience is telling you is working and what isn't, then you can sort of instinctually navigate any sort of comedic play.
Mm-hmm. Can you all say just a few words, Jade, Jason, everybody, about what you think makes good comedy?
Truth.
Truth?
Yeah, usually there's some germ that you recognize, like you recognize that in a person, and I always think that if the stakes are high, it gets funnier when there's more on the line. And we started thinking about like that this woman is going to lose her job if she can't get this whole situation to work out. And then thinking about if we couldn't keep our company going, we won't make it to the IPO, and we won't get to be squillionaires. You can keep adding in those layers that then kind of jack everything up, and I think that just always makes it funnier.
Absolutely. Well, here's to comedy and brilliant comedy makers. Thank you. Jason, Jade, Julie, and Stephen. Thanks. It's great. You've been listening to Playing on Air, Great American Short Plays with Great American Actors. Associate producer, Michelle O'Brien. Literary manager, Bonnie Antosh. Literary assistant, Aditya Pratama. Marketing and communications manager, Shelley Horwitz. Theme and play music, Tom Cochan. Recording and sound design, John Kilgore. Audio editing, Julia Melfi. This play was recorded live at the Pershing Square Signature Center in New York City. Special thanks to its staff and to our stage manager, Arabella Powell, John Weston for house sound and live system design, Mike Tracy, live system associate, and Rachel Kreidberg, audio assistant. We invite you to visit us on Facebook or Twitter. Go to our website at playingonair.org, where you can stream our recent short plays anytime. You can listen to lots more on podcasts by subscribing to Playing on Air on iTunes, Stitcher, or any podcasting app. For Playing on Air, I'm your host, Claudia Catania. Thanks for listening.